All right, this is chapter 13.5, Architectural Project 1 Floor Plan. In the book, it states that you should use polyline, fillet, offset, and trim to complete this project. Once again, looking at the drawing, like how should I tackle it? What should I do? Looking at the dimensions that it gives you, all the dimensions are with respect to the outside portions of the walls, exterior walls specifically. So I would start by drawing the exterior walls first, specifically the outside portion of the exterior walls. And then from there, I would do an offset to reference the inside portion of the wall. And then from there, do the interior walls and work my way down to the doors and the windows itself. So when doing architectural, you want to build the shell, the largest portions, and then work your way into the more smaller units, interior walls, then doors, then windows. And, if you were going to continue to keep drawing, then you would add appliances and kitchen cabinets and things like that. So you always want to start big and work your way down, specifically when working with architectural drawings. All right, so I'm going to use the polyline to do this. And, well, let's do it like this. I'm going to use the line command. I'll come back to the logic behind it. It's better to use polyline, but I want to draw it with a line, and I'll show you why it doesn't work with the line command. So I'll choose line, specify first point. I'll put the point at the origin, the first point of my line. So I'll do 0, tab 0 to lock it into the origin, hit enter. And then I'm going to move my cursor to the right, make sure that an object tracking line shows up. And I'm going to type 50 foot, 8 inches. Now notice the way I type it into the dynamic input there, 50 apostrophe that represents feet, and then the double apostrophe or quote symbol represent inches. I don't have no space between it. If you put a space between the 50 feet and the 8 inches, it doesn't recognize that measurement. So now that I have that there, I'll hit enter. I'll zoom in a little bit since I'm zoomed out pretty far. So there's my bottom portion of the wall. Also notice I'm not putting the fillet in or that rounded curve. It says in the book here, the radius is 10 feet. I'm going to add that curve with the fillet command after I'm done drawing the outside perimeter of my house walls. It's easier to do it that way. It goes up 30 feet and then it cuts to the left 20 foot 8 inches. So 20 apostrophe 8 quote symbol, enter. Go down 10 feet. I'll use tracking points to finish it off. And I'll hit close to finish my command. All right, so now I need to put the fillet in. So the fillet is a 10-foot radius. So I'm going to go up here to fillet command. I'm going to choose radius, and I'm going to enter 10 feet. Enter. And then I'm going to choose this side and that side. And that gives me my fillet, my rounded outside corner. Now, from this point here, I want to do the interior portion of the wall. It says that the wall should be 4 inches thick. So I'm going to use the offset command. So I want to show why you should have used polyline instead of line. And I want to show what kind of happens here. So if I choose offset, it's going to ask me like specify the offset distance or pick through or whatever it is. So I'm gonna choose the offset distance to be 4 inches. So all I have to do is put 4, enter. Choose the object. Now I want to select. It doesn't actually give you a selection window, so I can't choose everything. If I choose one object, I can't choose another. You can only choose one object at a time when you're doing an offset. So that's why in the book it tells you to use polyline. So the way that you want to do this is select go up here to modify, go to the home tab, modify panel, open that up, that drop down tab right here where it says join. Select that command, select everything. Once everything's selected, hit enter, and now it turned it into a polyline. So now it's one object. So if I click any part of my shape, the whole shape is going to be selected. All right, now that I turned it into a polyline, now I can do the offset. So I'll choose offset. The distance is already set. I can hit enter. I then choose my object, and I can either do inside or outside. I want to make sure that I move my my offset to the inside portion of the wall, and click the Math Mouse button, and there you go. So there is the thickness of my wall set to 4 inches. Now that I have that, uh, I'm going to select everything. Well, I'm going to explode command. It says select everything that I want to explode, and I'm going to select everything. Now, this is just one way of doing it. The reason I'm exploding everything is so that I can use the individual pieces to help me draw the rest of the interior walls. And then once I'm done, I can go back and rejoin it later if I want. So, looking at the book, it says that there's an interior wall that kind of follows through from the exterior wall and kind of goes all the way down to the other side. So, to do that, I'm going to go up here to the trim button. If I open up the drop down tab, there's extend. So when you're using the extend, you want to select your reference line first. So this is my reference line. Hit enter. And now select the objects that you want to extend. I'm going to select those 2 lines, hit enter, and now I just extended those 2 lines down to this portion of the wall to make that interior section. Right. Once that's done, I need to put another vertical wall somewhere around here. To do that, I'm going to make a copy of these 2 walls. Hit enter once I have them selected. And it says that from interior portion of the wall to the other interior portion of the wall, it should be 18 feet. So, well, you know what? Let's not make a copy of it. I'm just going to redraw it. So I'll use the line command, and from the inside corner of my wall, wait for a temporary tracking point to show up. I'm going to drag my mouse across, and I'm going to type in 18 feet, enter. So there's my 18 foot. This is going to be my interior portion, or the left side of my wall. And now I'll use offset again. The distance is already set to be 4 foot, so I'll hit enter. I'll select the object, and I'll move my cursor to the right. And then there is my other side of my interior wall, the other vertical section. Going back to my line command, it says that from this interior corner pocket going down, there's another wall that is 13 foot down. And then I'll use the offset again to make my 4-inch thick wall there. So now all the walls are done. The only thing left to do is trim them up and kind of clean up everything. Like there should be no line there. I can go up here, clean that up there. The best way to do that is to finish the command. I was in offset already, so I finished it. Go up here to trim. I'm going to type in the command line all, select everything, hit enter, and then I'm going to go around and delete the portions where the interconnections are happening. And I think I got everything. Yep. Okay. So hit enter to finish the command, and I just finished the house, basically the walls. The next thing I need to do is to input the cutouts for the doorways. The doorways are 3 foot long or wide, and in the textbook it tells you the specific locations of where they're at. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line, and I'm going to do this kind of, well, I can do it right here where it needs to go. So I'm going to do the door on the far left side first. And it says from the interior portion of the wall to the first part where the cutting would happen is 1 foot 6 inches. So from here, I'm going to go up 1 foot 6 inches, enter, and there is my first side of my door. Once I draw the first side, I can then use offset, physically type in 3 foot, enter, select my door, my side, and move it upwards. And there is my other side of my door frame. That's 3 foot apart. Once I have that, I can then go up here to trim, select that wall with the jambs included, hit enter, and then delete the inner portions, just like that. Okay, so that's that door frame there. Now, the other door is at the same exact location away on this side, so I'm going to do a copy of that. Just select just that one and that one, hit enter. I want the base point to be, I'll say, the outside corner here, and I'm just going to trace it directly across the other side and paste it over there. And now that it's over here, I can use a trim command, select that wall with the jambs of the doors, and cut away that intersection. Looks like I have an added piece there. I'll just delete that. That takes care of that one. And there is one more vertical section up here on the wall. That one is 12 foot from the top portion. So I'm going to get down here. I'm going to select those. I'm going to go here to copy. I'm going to select that side, copy that side, and that side. Hit enter. This time I'm going to select the base point to be the inside portion of my wall on the left side here. And now that I have that copied, I go up here, create a tracking point from that location there, and then drop down to start my distance measurement. I'm going to type in 12 foot, hit enter, and I can hit enter now to finish the command. So there's my door on the far right side of my building. Use the trim command to clean it up. Hit enter. All right, now the only one that's left door-wise is a horizontal one. So I'm going to make a copy of that jamb. Hit enter. The base point doesn't really matter for this part. I'm just going to click that corner and just bring it out away from the door. Hit enter. So now I have a vertical section here. I'm going to use the rotate command, select those objects. I'll pick my base point, doesn't really matter, and just rotate it horizontally now. Now that it's rotated horizontally, I can go down here and paste it in the correct location. So given the measurements in the book, I'll do the move command. I'll select my objects, hit enter. I want the reference to be the top right corner of my door frame, given the measurements from the book. And I'll create a tracking point right here. Just let my mouse hover over it and drag my mouse to the left and input 1 foot 6 inches. And then there is my door frame there. Clean it up with the trim command and remove the portions of the wall. And that takes care of the walls. The only thing left, which is what I forgot to do initially, and I can always change it later, which is good, is layers. I drew all of this stuff on the 0 layer. There's other layers that are here. The book states that it must be put on walls layers. To do that, select everything on the drawing and then just go up to the layers here and choose walls. And now everything that was selected is now on the walls layer. So if I go hit there, it's wall. You can see it right there. It's walls. Everything is walls now. You could, if I was paying closer attention, you can change the layer before you start drawing, and you wouldn't have to change it later on. But since I had everything basically pre-drawn already, there's no sense to delete it and restart it. Just select everything and go up and just change the layer to what it needs to be while it's selected. So that pretty much takes care of everything through task 1 in the project. What's next is inserting the doors and window blocks. So going up to the tabs up here, I'm going to go to the view tab. Right here is tool palettes. That's under the palettes panel. I select that. And depending on what depends on what you had open initially. You want to make sure that you're in the architecture side tab of the tool palettes, and also make sure that you're on imperial samples. Imperial stands for inches and feet. Metric would be like centimeters and meters. So from the imperial samples, I'm going to choose door, and just drag that in and place one door. I'm also going to go into the window panel and bring one of the windows out as well. Now I can close out of the tool palettes. I'm also going to make sure that these objects are placed on the correct layer. So now that they're brought in, I'm going to go back to Home tab. I'm going to select the window and then go up here and I'm going to change that to a window. Okay. And I'm going to select the door and change that to door layer, which is also green in this case. All right. So they're both the same color, but they do have two different layer types. I'm also going to edit now what the door should be. So to do the door, let's take this one and let's place it where it needs to go. So we're going to put it in this one right here. So I'll do the move command. I'll select the door, enter, and then I'm going to choose the base point to be this corner of the hinge of my door, or what would be the hinge of my door. And I'm going to move it down and place it right there. Now, it doesn't fit, which is fine. That's what I can adjust it. This is a dynamic block, so it gives me options. Once you select it, you have options to edit its width, the door swing, the jamb thickness, and things like that. So let's open the swing to 90 degrees like it shows in the book. Let's also change the thickness of my jamb to be 4 inches. And let's also choose the length to be 3 feet. So now that I edited my door, that door is now set to the correct requirements. And now, since that's already preset, I can make copies of this door and place it at each specific location. So now I'll make a copy of it. So I'll select it, hit enter. And I'm just gonna pick some random point, doesn't really matter, and just kind of bring it out away from that location. And now that I did that, I can use the rotate command. I'm going to rotate the door vertically. And I'm going to, now that I have it in this position, I'm going to change the direction of the hinge to the other side, like that. And I'm also going to change which way the door swings. And now it's in the shape that it needs to be to place it in these two locations here. So now that I have that, I can do the move command. I'll select my object. Well, let's do copy. Copy the object, hit enter, select the inside corner of where my hinge would be. And now I can place one there and one there. Right click, hit enter, and I'll just, this one here now, I need to alter it, flip it to the other side. And now that it's flipped to this side, now I can place my last door on the outside section of my exterior wall. So I'll go to the move command, select my object, hit enter, specify my base point, which I'll do the location where the hinge would be, and then drag it up to the outside corner of my wall, place it, and now I have my doors placed exactly where they need to go. Next, we have to deal with the windows. It states in the book, it says locate the windows along the wall using object snap tracking and track from the outside corner of the wall. For example, along the bottom wall, the first window on the left side is placed 2 foot from the outside corner of the building. When you position the first window along a wall, use the rectangular array to evenly space the others. For example, to place windows along the bottom wall, it tells you what the array command should be and things like that. And it also states that the column offset should be 6 feet. So let's do the bottom portion of my wall. So here's my one window. I'm going to do the move command, select the window, hit enter. Let's do the bottom left corner of my window as my base point. And now we'll pan down to here. And it says from the outside corner over is 2 foot. Enter. So that's where the first placement of my window should be. Once that's placed, it then says I should use a rectangular array to place the rest of the windows. So right here is rectangular array. It's going to prompt me to select my objects. So I'll select the window, hit enter. I'm then going to have a total of 7 columns. The number of rows will be set to 1. And the distance between the columns should be set to 6 foot. And if I look, you can kind of see the individual windows going down through there. Make sure associative is turned off, which it is, and I can hit now to close the array. And now I make copies evenly spaced windows across the front of my building, or the side, whatever you want to look at it as. I'm also looking at the picture of the book. It looks like there is 3 windows to the left side of the building. Based off the measurements, they look a little wider or further apart than 6 feet. But I'm going to use the judgment of like 2 foot from the outside corner to do that. So I'm going to make a copy. Well, I'm going to use the rotate command. I'm going to select my object, hit enter, specify the base point to be, let's do this corner here. Now, before I click it, I'm going to choose here in the command line copy. And it made a copy of the window while rotating it. So you can do a copy command through the rotate command, which is nice. So now that I rotated it, I can do move. I'll select the object and I'll pick the outside corner. From the outside corner, come up 2 feet, hit enter. There's 1. I'm going to make another copy of that window. This time I'm going to pick the outside top corner of the window. And I'm going to place this one 2 foot down. Right there. I don't know what I did. Let me double check. All right, so I'm going to pick the window, hit enter, specify base point, top left corner, and then come up to here, create a tracking point, and scroll down 2 feet, enter. Copy, object, enter, base point, and then something's acting wrong here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold the control button down, right click. Now I want to do that. Let a tracking point form. Once I form the tracking point, come down, hold the control button, right click, and I'm going to do from. So I'm going to do from that location, and I'm going to come down 2 feet, enter, and there we go. That's what I wanted. This window I placed accidentally. I'm going to use the move command for that. Select the window, and this window looks like it's dead middle of the wall. So I'll create 2 tracking points here and place my base point to be there. So my base point doesn't have to lie on the object. The base point can be anywhere. And the reason I picked that location is that it's the midpoint of my window, but it's also the exterior edge of the wall as well. So I can come down here, use my midpoint there, and I can place it and it goes exactly where it needs to go. So that takes care of the left side wall. The top wall looks like it mirrors. Nah, I shouldn't say that. It does for the part of it. These 3 windows are exactly mirrored on the other side. Now, instead of using the mirror command, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the copy command. I'm going to select all 3 of those windows, hit enter. I'm going to do the base point as right here. And now I'm going to go up to my wall and place it. Enter to finish it. So I just placed those, made copies of those windows and copied it with respect to the outside corner there, exactly where they need to go. So these windows line up with those windows on both sides of the room. There's another window that's in the middle of this wall. So I'll make a copy of that one, hit enter. I'm going to make my base point the midpoint of my window and the edge along the exterior side of the wall. And now place that one, enter, takes care of that. There is another window vertically. Since there's a vertical window here, I'm going to make a copy of this one since it's already vertical. So I'll make a copy of this window, hit enter. And it's at the midpoint of this window, it looks like. If it does this one. So I'll choose this window here. This time I'm going to pick the top right corner. And from this side over 2 foot. And make a copy of this window. Base point in this corner. Okay, and then make another copy, make a lot of copies of that window with the midpoint and place it at the midpoint of this wall. And there's that side. Continuing on, it looks like there is 3 windows on the right side over here. So we'll make a copy of a vertical window. Let's just say this one. So as I pick my base point, let's do top right corner of the wall window in this case. And from this location down 2 feet. A window. The next one should be 6 foot apart. We're gonna no. I don't know. Looking at the picture, it doesn't really specifically say. And looking at what it states, I'm not quite sure. So I'm just gonna use my best judgment for this. I'm just gonna place it 2 foot from this side in. All right. So we'll make a copy. Hit enter. This time I'm going to pick this corner of the wall and I'll control right click, do from. I then click the point I want to reference my measurement from and then go up to apostrophe enter. All right, so there's my second window, and I have one more window to place. And I'll make a copy of a vertical window. Enter. This time I'm going to use the midpoint and do the exterior side of the wall. It's my base point, midpoint, exterior side. And then right there is the midpoint of that little vertical section of the wall. That's where I'll place that window. Because once again, it doesn't specifically tell me a measurement. So right now, we have all the windows placed. We have all the doors placed. The correct orientation of the swing of the door is also in place. You do not need to cut out the wall sections for the windows. So as you can see right here, the wall section that cuts between the windows is still there, and that's fine. But for doorways, you must cut out the wall section and for the doors themselves. And everything's on the correct layers. I can double check that by clicking on the object itself. So if I click on a wall, that's on the wall layer. If I click on a door, it's on the door layer. And if I click on a window, on the window layer. So everything checks out. And I just completed chapter 13.5 architectural project. one floor plan.